Good evening. A woman is dead after being struck by a vehicle in the shops at Don Mills.
It happened this morning. The vehicle remained on scene, and tonight police are trying to piece together the details. CTV's Mike Walker is live near the scene tonight with more. Mike?
Well, Sean and Pauline, police cleared the scene here a short time ago. It appears to have happened in the roadway here in the middle of the parking lot, but at this point, police haven't revealed the circumstances surrounding this incident.
An orange tarp covers the body of a woman who was struck and killed by a vehicle in the middle of the parking lot at the shops on Don Mills.
I think it's sad. I've never seen anything like it before. But I think it's a tragedy.
Toronto police say the woman was struck by the vehicle around 10:40 this morning. It happened in an area of the parking lot with a four-way stop and a pedestrian crossing. Police haven't said where the woman was standing when she was struck by the vehicle. The woman was pronounced dead on the scene, and police say the driver involved remained at the scene.
It was a bit chaotic. There were about 4 or 5 police cars all around the Starbucks and yellow tape everywhere, and all the entrances into that area of the parking lot were all barricaded by police vehicles as well.
Investigators with the Collision Reconstruction Unit spent the afternoon collecting evidence. Police haven't revealed the circumstances surrounding this deadly incident. Many who work and shop here left wondering how this happened.
It just seems very strange. Never noticed a problem, actually. People have been pretty cordial and polite when they're driving around here.
Late this afternoon, police towed away the vehicle involved. At this point, they haven't released any further details about the driver and the victim.
Now, there are a number of surveillance cameras here at shops at Don Mills that investigators will be combing through. At this point, there's no word whether any charges will be laid. Reporting live on Mike Walker, Sean and Pauline, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. A motorcyclist is dead following a collision with a car in Vaughan this morning. The crash happened around 10:15 a.m. on Dufferin Street, just south of the 407. The damaged motorcycle ended up against a pole. A red Audi was spun out in the intersection at Caraway Drive. The motorcyclist was pronounced dead at the scene. The driver of the other vehicle was not seriously injured. York Regional Police closed off the intersection. The name and age of the victim has not been released. The Toronto District School Board has announced it is cutting more than 200 administrative jobs.
The board says it's part of a plan to modernize. CTV's Janice Golding has the details.
Its website says Sunnyview Junior and Senior Public School on Blythewood has been serving the needs of elementary students with physical and developmental disabilities for over 70 years. But the school's stated objective to, quote, eliminate barriers may be facing some barriers soon. QP 4400 telling CTV News the TDSB will be cutting more than 300 admin jobs, 6 of them bus drivers who serve Sunnyview.
Not only do they take the children over to Variety Village and they make sure they can participate in field trips because they wouldn't be able to, their job also includes working with students in and out of swimming pools, toileting, feeding, assisting with minor emergency repairs to wheelchairs.
Reaction from area residents swift.
I don't think that's a very good thing to hear. I mean, these are kids who already are facing a lot of challenges.
Not a great thing. I think the disability community has enough hardships as it is.
The TDSB, however, denies that students at Sunnyview will be impacted, while it says it will be cutting 218 school administration positions and declining to fill 91 vacancies. It says the union has it wrong about Sunnyview.
What we're doing is taking 3 bus routes out of the thousands across the TDSB and shifting them from TDSB bus drivers to our third-party operators, and there will be no impact to the supports that are provided to them.
That being said, Ryan Bird says the board is facing declining enrollment with approximately 3,000 fewer students in 2024-2025, and it anticipates 5,000 fewer students next year.
We cannot keep our central staff at the same levels despite thousands of fewer students. We also have to live within our means.
While the TDSB says classroom staff won't be impacted by these cuts, in April, the TDSB announced it would be slashing 289 teaching positions.
This is the latest round of cuts. When you put it with the teacher cuts, you put it with our DEC cuts, you put it with the spec ed cuts, you put it with the lunchroom supervisor cuts. When you add them all together with this newest round, we're talking over 1,000 positions.
Weatherup says, make no mistake, this isn't about declining enrollment, but about government underfunding. You may recall last year the Ontario government said an accounting firm had projected a $58 million deficit for the TDSB this year and then appointed a supervisor to oversee the finances and operations of the board. Janice Golding, CTV News.
We'll have more news in a moment, but we'll have a look outside right now. You can see it's become overcast. Lindsay Morrison joins us now with the first look at the conditions. Lindsay?
Yeah, Sean, we've got some rain moving in. Cloud cover for now around the GTA, but I'll step aside so you can see that the wet weather is approaching from west to east. We've already got rain in places like Guelph over toward Hamilton. It's knocking on your door if you're joining us from Milton and Orangeville. And as we progress through the rest of this evening, we are looking at showers in the GTA, followed by some steadier rain in Toronto overnight. Winds right now are coming from an easterly direction, not particularly strong, but that east wind has helped cool us down. That, in addition to the cloud cover, we had so much beautiful sunshine earlier on. Now we are at 10 degrees at Pearson Airport. We're forecasting an overnight low of 6, and we're also looking at the risk of thunderstorms through those overnight hours. Coming up, I'll give you an idea of just how much rain is in the forecast, but for now, Sean, I'm going to send it back over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. At Queen's Park, new reports from Ontario's Auditor General are raising some troubling findings,
including that commercial trucking schools are improperly training drivers who end up on Ontario roads. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris is live tonight with more. Siobhan?
Pauline, some really scary stuff out there. And we did know that the auditor actually hired some secret students to go in and uncover this. The opposition says this is a sign that this government doesn't have the basics right. They're powerful machines rumbling down Ontario's roads and highways. But the Auditor General's raising new questions about the training some truck drivers are getting. Her office hired undercover students to sign up, mostly at career colleges. In 2 cases,
students were not taught key elements such as left turns at major intersections, reverse parking, and emergency stopping.
Students were told to sign off on training they'd never done. The Premier expects training schools to maintain standards.
And if that's not happening, we get wind of it, we will shut them down.
But the auditor found a quarter of schools hosting basic training programs had never been inspected at all. Others were still handing out certificates even after being barred from doing so.
We have been overhauling this over the past 2 years and continue to do whatever we can and to ensure that we have the highest standards.
Fraud in trucker licensing and testing have been well documented for years.
The government's not doing what they need to do to protect you, then you should be mad.
The auditor's spotlighting a gap in the money going to special education. Yes, it's gone up with inflation, but she notes schools are also seeing more children with more complex needs.
The funding is not keeping up with the growth, and that the school boards themselves are spending upwards of $200 million more on special ed than what they're receiving.
The Minister of Education feels the focus shouldn't be on a dollar figure, but
outcome. On the surface, would more EAs make sense? Perhaps, but only if you look at the actual mix. What does that student require?
Calandra admits the ministry hasn't done a good job of tracking outcomes or setting standards for when a child with special needs is excluded from a classroom.
This report very clearly tells him what we have been saying, what parents have been saying, what educators have been saying. They are failing our children, and they are putting them in harm's way.
We heard directly from the auditor today that she's unlikely to take a look at the government's purchase of that $29 million jet this year. Her schedule's pretty full. We also heard from the Premier today saying that lawyers are working on getting us the receipts for the purchase and return of that jet. Reporting live from Queen's Park, I'm Siobhan Morris. Pauline, back to you.
Thanks, Siobhan. A Toronto City councillor says he's confident an OPP investigation into his dealings with developers will exonerate him.
As CTV's John Woodward reports, most elected officials are giving the issue a wide berth.
Project come to life. Plenty of politicians showed up Tuesday at a pitch to turn Toronto into a host city for a multinational defense bank.
We're already doing the work. We're making sure that we're ready on day one.
Toronto councillors had lots to say on that subject, but when it came to their colleague Parthy Candavel, who is facing an OPP investigation, there wasn't much to say.
It's being investigated right now, so I really cannot comment on any of it.
The residents of Toronto expect every councillor and the mayor to act with integrity. It is, I believe, there's an ongoing investigation going on. It's not proper for me to comment.
Sources tell CTV News the investigation has to do with how Candavel interacted with developers looking to move at least 2 properties through city processes, and alleged the councillor was looking for money beyond what the city is allowed to ask for when it comes to community benefits. The Toronto Star reported frustrated developers at this site on Kennedy Road made an Integrity Commissioner complaint that was forwarded to Toronto Police and then the OPP. Councillor Candavel himself revealed that he was under investigation on Sunday, and on Tuesday his office sent a statement to CTV News saying he was confident he'd done nothing wrong. Candavel said there has been no wrongdoing on my part, which I'm confident the OPP investigation will conclude. I am still learning about these allegations, and it is not lost on me that they've come during the election period. Regardless, my intention is to respect the process and let the OPP complete their work. Mayoral candidate Brad Bradford said Candavel should at least take a step back from some dealings with developers.
Certainly anything as it would relate to that particular application which has been reported on, you'd want to be hands off on all that sort of stuff.
At the same event, the Premier admitting Ontario's proposed law to fire misbehaving politicians still faces hurdles.
We want to come up with a standardized system. What is good for Toronto has to be good for Kenora and good for the rest of the province.
For now, bank on it being business as usual at City Hall as the OPP does its work behind the scenes. John Woodward, CTV News.
With a weekend deadline approaching, the threat of a lockout for some 700 TTC workers continues to loom large.
CTV's Beth McDonnell has the latest on the labor strife.
If bargaining doesn't produce a deal soon, the TTC could lock out 700 employees on Saturday. Their union, QP Local 2, says these are electricians, signal maintainers, overhead line persons, and technicians who look after safety-critical systems.
If they are not there because it is the TTC's decision to not have them there, then the service arguably will be potentially less reliable, and potentially less safe.
With dry runs for crowds and transit ahead of FIFA done, it's a stalemate that's kicked into high gear. Toronto's World Cup games are just a month away. The TTC's CEO says it tabled to start negotiations in January, but the union turned up in March. He says the union's requests are not fiscally responsible or fair to the other 17,000 TTC staff.
We have offered a deal which is above inflation, a double-digit deal which is above inflation. However, the union currently have a deal on the table that they've proposed, which is circa 40 million impact to the TTC over 3 years.
The union, meanwhile, says senior managers have had 18% and 19% raises, and it was the TTC which held up talks this winter. It says there is no double-digit offer on the table. With time ticking, the dispute has caught the attention of the Premier.
Let's sit in the room, lock the door, and then come out with a deal. First, put the people in Toronto that's hosting it ahead of the negotiations. Maybe they can take a break and go back to work and support a world-class event like FIFA.
Both sides are aware the countdown is on.
In terms of the impact onto FIFA, we have, as I said, got robust contingency plans in place to continue to deliver a world-class transit system for a world-class occasion.
Instead of starting what the Commission is starting this Saturday, I believe we are confident that if the parties focus on bargaining and instead of shoving concessions down our members, we can have a deal, before the World Cup.
The TTC says it's committed to doing everything possible to provide uninterrupted service. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
An independent civilian oversight agency is set to investigate the conduct of members of the Toronto Police Drug Squad. The Law Enforcement Complaints Agency for Ontario says Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkew notified its director of potential misconduct involving members of the drug squad. The agency says it cannot identify any of these officers or comment on the specific allegations. It says it is aiming to complete its investigation within 120 days.
The mayor, the premier touted Toronto today as an ideal landing spot for the headquarters of the new Defence, Security and Resilience Bank.
At least 4 cities are vying to be chosen after Canada was named the host country earlier this year. CTV senior correspondent Judy Trin reports.
Global finance and advanced innovation.
Toronto's bid to host the new Defence, Security and Resilience Bank was launched with a glitzy video and a full-court press.
We have Team Ontario, united to support Toronto.
The new defense bank could involve 40 countries. It could hold an estimated $135 billion US in assets and employ 3,500 people. Other than Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, and Ottawa are competing for the headquarters. Analysts say the winning city needs to have more than just financial expertise.
Good cultural sensibility. I think it needs to be able to communicate with different players in different countries.
Toronto is one of the most diverse cities on earth. People from every corner of the world come here.
The majority of the bank's member nations will be in Europe. Connections, Montreal's mayor says the city has.
The economics and the diplomacy. So we're the only city that can give both. The economic diplomacy that this bank needs.
But politics are at play. Depending on which party wins the Quebec election in the fall, there could be another referendum on Quebec's separation.
We're not going to engage in campaigns of fear, for starters. We have the strengths and the maturity to receive international organizations, bottom line.
The goal of the Defense Bank is to provide lower interest loans to smaller companies so they can develop technology and expand faster. Ottawa has dozens of innovative companies, but the capital's airport doesn't have many international flights. Not a problem with Vancouver, which could be a prime location to attract Asian nations to join.
We're the gateway to the Pacific. We actually are in the perfect time zone to bridge those gaps.
I think the headline for everybody that they need to know is that Canada will lead the world in defense finance.
The federal government has yet to lay out its criteria, nor has it set a deadline. But regardless of what city is selected, Canada is the big winner. Judy Trin, CTV News, Ottawa.
There are now 9 confirmed cases worldwide of people infected with the Hantavirus following that outbreak on a cruise ship. A Spanish passenger has tested positive for the virus. There are also 2 suspected cases. The evacuation of all passengers and many crew members from the cruise ship is now complete, and the vessel is heading back to the Netherlands, where it will be cleaned and disinfected. So far, all cases are among those who were on the ship. The overall tally includes 3 people who died. The World Health Organization says there is no sign of the start of a larger outbreak, but given the long incubation period of the virus, it is possible there could be more cases in the coming weeks. 9 people are isolating and being monitored in Canada, 3 in Ontario, 4 in BC, and 2 in Alberta.
Ukraine has started preparations for a military drone deal with Canada. President Volodymyr Zelensky says 20 countries are already working with Ukraine on similar deals. Prime Minister Carney's office said last summer a letter of intent was signed to co-produce defense materials in both countries, but it did not refer specifically to drones. Ukraine has talked about signing export deals with other nations to supply them with advanced drone technology. Any deal could also include drones being built in Canada for Ukraine.
Meantime, Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister has left for the Persian Gulf, where she will visit Oman and Qatar. Anita Anand is slated to discuss defense and security while courting investment. The trip comes as the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran continues to affect the Middle East and international energy markets.
How do we know that the ceasefire is active or not active without any documentation?
We know it's evident, and the ceasefire is in effect.
Mr. Cuellar.
That is despite Iranian attacks and the ongoing U.S. blockade. But the Americans say Tehran's acts of aggression are below the threshold of major combat operations, and therefore the truce has not been violated. Thousands of people have died in the war, and the Pentagon said today the financial cost of the conflict is $29 billion so far. Donald Trump says he doesn't think the U.S. needs any help from Beijing in finding a solution to end the war with Iran. The U.S. president spoke as he departed today for a high-stakes summit with his Chinese counterpart.
So we're going to have a very good meeting. I spoke with President Xi. We both look forward to the meeting. It's going to be great.
Trump has been pressing Xi Jinping to use China's considerable leverage to get Iran to agree to U.S. terms to end the war, or at least reopen the Strait of Hormuz. But today he downplayed the differences with Beijing over the conflict. China is the world's biggest buyer of Iranian oil.
In the West Bank and Gaza, Palestinians are marking the 78th anniversary of the mass expulsion from lands that make up modern-day Israel. Palestinians refer to the displacement before and during the 1948 war that followed Israel's establishment as the Nakba, Arabic for catastrophe. About 700,000 people fled or were driven from their homes, a majority of the pre-war population. The right to return to ancestral towns and cities has been a Palestinian demand throughout decades of peace negotiations. In the UK, Prime Minister Keir Starmer insisted today he has no intention of resigning. Calls are growing louder within his Labour Party for Starmer to step down. Several junior members of his government have quit and urged him to do the same. The PM's future has become a major topic following historic losses for the party in local elections last week. Labour would be overwhelmingly defeated if those results were repeated in the next national election. Today, Starmer said he took responsibility for the losses but would fight on.
Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen and his Artemis II crewmates were welcomed to Capitol Hill today.
I can speak on behalf of Canadians to say this is something that we as Canadians admire in you in America, and that you set these extraordinary goals and you leave space for others like Canada to come along and contribute in a meaningful way. And by doing those things, you garner immense respect around the world, but you lift up others to come along with you. Congratulations.
Each of the astronauts received a copy of a resolution passed unanimously on behalf of the U.S. Senate. It says thank you to the crew for their leadership. The resolution will remain forever in the record of the United States. The astronauts conducted the first crewed lunar flyby in 50 years during their 10-day mission last month, and they ventured further into space than anyone before them.
Still ahead, how Canadian wineries could potentially add billions to the country's GDP simply by changing trade barriers. We'll explain.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, new statistics involving bankruptcy show more Canadians are feeling a financial strain. As people struggle with inflation, gas prices, and groceries, Canadian insolvencies are at their highest point in 15 years. I'll have that story. That's just ahead.
We are approaching mid-May, and our average temperature, daytime high anyway, is now 19 degrees. We're still going to be shy of that tomorrow, but a little warmer at 16. It is going to be an unsettled couple of days, but we are still looking at warmth over the long weekend. Coming up, I'll show you just how high the temperature could climb on Victoria Day. That's after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Welcome back. More Canadians filed for insolvency in the first 3 months of this year than in any other quarter since the global financial crisis.
There's a growing concern more households are carrying too much debt and having difficulty paying their bills. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat?
Thanks, Pauline and Sean. The latest numbers are concerning because they show many Canadians are feeling the strain of mounting debt, inflation, and increases in the cost of living. The three main factors hurting budgets the most are housing, car loans, and the rising cost of food. According to the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy, more than 37,000 Canadians either filed a consumer proposal or declared bankruptcy during the first 3 months of this year. That's an increase of 8.5% over the same period in 2025.
I'm not surprised by these numbers. We know that about half of Canadian households are living paycheck to paycheck, which means, they have no savings.
The Canadian Association of Insolvency and Restructuring Professionals says Canadians are carrying record amounts of debt. Many mortgages will come due this year at higher interest rates. Rising food and gas prices, along with other factors, are pushing some households to the brink. In about 80% of cases, clients choose a consumer proposal instead of bankruptcy, which allows them to have a fixed monthly payment and stops interest from accumulating.
Most of the time, they will pay less than what they owe. It's based on their budget and capacity to pay. And you keep your assets in a proposal. In a bankruptcy, you may lose assets.
Almost 14,000 people in Ontario filed consumer proposals and bankruptcy so far this year. That's almost a 15% increase over the year before.
The rate of increase in insolvencies is a lot worse in Ontario than it is in the rest of Canada because we are the engine of the economy.
Licensed insolvency trustee Doug Hoy says tariffs have been detrimental to Ontario and says increasing unemployment remains a concern.
I suspect that we will see a continued, perhaps gradual, but certainly increase in the number of personal insolvencies filed in Ontario for many months to come.
Hoyes recommends keeping debt levels low and to curb your expenses. Anyone facing financial hardships can seek the advice of a licensed insolvency trustee. There is usually no charge for the first meeting. And because vehicles cost more now, many people are taking out loans for 6 to 7 years. But if you have to trade in your car, you could still owe $10,000 to $20,000 on it. This is also putting pressure on many household budgets. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Well, what started as such a nice day seems to have turned. We have to just get through this, right? And then it's going to get a lot better.
Oh, well, by this, do you mean the next couple of days being a little unsettled, a little
tonight,
cool?
and the need for an umbrella, perhaps?
Yes, you need one of those if you're venturing out this evening, and certainly if you're going to be out through the overnight hours, because that's when the heaviest rain is going to fall, and we could get some thunder and lightning out there, too. Let's take one more look outside, if we can, to show you what's been happening out there. It has been unsettled for a good portion of the day. We're going to actually go right to the radar to show you that we have rain now impacting areas like Burlington. If you're joining us from the Georgetown area, the wet weather is making its way toward you too. I do want to point out that this may look like thunder and lightning, but right now we're not seeing anything in the way of thunderstorm and lightning activity. That does change, though, as we make our way into the overnight. But that's some heavier rain pushing its way through areas to the northwest of the city of Toronto. So this is a low pressure system that originated in the prairies. It's going to give us a bit of a soaking through the overnight hours tonight. And how much rain? It really depends on where you are, but at this point it's looking like 10 to 15 millimeters of rain for us locally in Toronto. Some areas are expected to see more than that. Maybe close to 30 millimeters of rain in places like Peterborough and Bancroft. And again, if we do get some embedded thunderstorms, that could up the rainfall totals once again. Here's the forecast radar. I'm just going to pause this through the overnight hours. So that's 3 a.m. You might be wakened up by a couple of rumbles of thunder. We call these nocturnal thunderstorms. For any early risers, it's possible that you will encounter some heavy rainfall as well. That's about 6 a.m. But then this continues to move out, and in its wake, we are expecting tomorrow to be a mostly cloudy day with a few sunny breaks. It's just scattered wet weather. And then Thursday morning, chance of being clipped by a couple of drops of rain once again. The cloud cover is going to hang around for Thursday. And then finally, it starts to clear out for Friday. Not only do we have sunshine in the forecast for Friday, but that's the beginning of a warmer trend and just in time for the long weekend too. So let's talk temperatures. We've cooled down with the arrival of the cloud cover over the last couple of hours. We're now in the single digits. It is 9 degrees at Pearson Airport. Here's a look at our forecast overnight low. 6 is still cooler than normal, but at least gone is the frost advisory that's been in place for a couple of nights. And instead, yes, we're looking at the risk of thunderstorms. Tomorrow at a glance, 16 degrees for the high. That's a bit of an improvement. We're inching closer to the seasonal average of 19 degrees. And it's not going to be a washout of a day by any means, but we do have the chance of some scattered wet weather. And temperatures, as mentioned, are closer to normal, double-digit highs just about everywhere. And if it's not showery or rainy tomorrow in your neck of the woods, you can expect that it is going to be mostly cloudy. 7-day forecast. Hopefully some sunny breaks into Thursday, Friday, though. Mix of sun and cloud. It's looking gorgeous. Chance of showers into the day on Saturday and possibly Monday as well, but nothing at this point that would disrupt Victoria Day fireworks. Sunday looks great. Look at the warmth. 25 degrees, the expected high for Monday. That's your look at the weather for now. Pauline, over to you.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. And after the break, we are 1 month away from welcoming the World Cup to Toronto. We'll check in with organizers to see where things stand ahead as we get closer to kickoff.
Welcome back. The FIFA World Cup is now just a month away, with Toronto set to host its first match on June 12th.
Preparations are underway across the city, but how close are they to being complete? CTV's Rahim Ladani reports.
A police motor squad shut down parts of several highways this morning, but no head of state or foreign minister was being escorted. It was a training exercise for the FIFA World Cup.
Public safety is paramount, along with the people that we are escorting.
With 30 days to go, letter by letter, BMO Field is coming down, transforming into Toronto Stadium. FIFA now controls the site, and there's still a lot of work to get done. City staff do feel they're in a good position after this past weekend's test run, when nearly 45,000 fans were on hand for a TFC match. But improvements need to be made.
How people get in and out, how we're managing the flow of crowd. We want to make some improvements to signage. We had some lineups around concessions and restrooms.
One of the biggest question marks is still, how will local residents and the hundreds of thousands of visitors get around the city? Over the weekend, fans were stuck trying to board transit after the match.
Think about the packed can of sardines right now. It's literally madness right now.
The TTC says they added more than 24 subway trains and streetcars, but need to have more staff on hand to help direct people. However, a potential TTC job action could impact riders if the agency doesn't reach a deal with its electrical and signal workers.
All of these agencies can work together, so we're hoping to settle the labor issues as quickly as possible so that that's not a question mark throughout the month of FIFA.
Metrolinx has announced it will increase GO train service to every 15 minutes on Lakeshore West and East throughout most of the day during the World Cup. But adding to the congestion will be road closures. There will be a number of them on match days, creating heavy traffic for families driving down for FanFest.
I know people have concerns, obviously, about how busy it's going to be, but as kind of a commuter, I don't mind. I'm not the one driving, fortunately.
Meanwhile, for those who live and work in Fort York and Liberty Village, the city says it's working on an access-only traffic plan to help minimize their disruption. The city still has a $5 million funding shortfall after backtracking and making the FIFA FanFest free. A new batch of those tickets will be released this Friday at 10 a.m. Rahim Ladani, CTV News.
Meanwhile, Toronto Public Health is marking the World Cup by releasing 6 soccer-inspired designs of condoms. With hundreds of thousands of visitors expected for the tournament, the city's distributing free condoms at various locations, including 4 TPH sexual health clinics. Condom TO was first launched in 2014 for World Pride. The city says the initiative is aimed at promoting safe sex and connecting people with health services.
The Canadian writer and director behind the television show Heated Rivalry was given the Creative Impact Award at the recent Departure Honors.
Since the show debuted last year, it remains a very busy time for Jacob Tierney and everyone involved in this critically acclaimed show. CTV's Andrea Case reports.
С кем ты сейчас встречаешься?
Ревнуешь?
6 months ago, model and actress Ksenia Daniela Hermalova's life changed forever. When Heated Rivalry premiered on Crave back in November, it would become a global phenomenon.
It happens so fast, you know? You don't really expect, I think, these things to happen so quickly with so much momentum. But I really appreciated that it did. I think it was good that it also came out during the holidays and people were at home and they'd go on the internet and talk about it and, you know, other people would be like, ooh, I should watch that.
You're an awesome player to watch.
Yes.
In case you haven't heard, based on Rachel Reed's book, Heated Rivalry is a queer romance drama about rival ice hockey players Shane Hollander and Ilya Rozanov and their years-long secret relationship.
Cut. Good. One more.
The series was written and directed by Montreal's Jacob Tierney. He had read the books and DM'd author Rachel Reed.
I didn't know what I could do with it, but I knew I loved it. And I thought, you know, if I love it, maybe other people might love it too. So I just trusted my gut that I just thought it was such a great story and that it was different.
It is fitting the Toronto-born model and actress of Russian and Trinidadian descent was cast to play Svetlana Petrova, Rozanov's childhood friend and occasional love interest. All of her lines are in Russian, which is her first language.
I thought it was a really, really interesting story. I really liked how, especially the women characters were written, even though they're not the center focus, they are still part of these characters' lives, and they still feel like real people. They don't just feel like pawns to be used in their story. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, the story is so compelling and so emotional. So
the series of books is called Game Changers, and for Tierney, already a multiple award winner, the project has changed his life.
It's very nice. You know, obviously, Heated Rivalry opened up a world of opportunity for me that I'm incredibly grateful for. And yeah, you know, it's very exciting.
This is such a bad idea. Look at this.
Andrea Case, CTV News.
How much pressure do you...
And still to come, an iconic American donut chain announces its plans to take another crack at the Canadian market. We'll tell you what's bringing Dunkin north of the border.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The U.S. Customs Agency has started issuing tariff refunds. BNN Bloomberg's Marella Fernandez has more.
We have the first tally of refunds for American tariffs. The U.S. Customs Agency says it's processed refunds plus interest totaling over $35 billion so far. When the U.S. Supreme Court deemed the U.S. president's tariffs illegal in February, exporters and retailers lined up to get their money back. It's estimated Walmart alone is owed over $10 billion. Here are the closing numbers for the day. The Canadian dollar is down to 73. West Texas Intermediate is up over $4 to 102.37. Western Canadian Select up over $2 to 77.82. And the TSX gained 151 points today. Those are your business headlines. I'm Marella Fernandez.
Lingering interprovincial trade barriers and high taxes are limiting the growth of potential for some Canadian winemakers.
Wineries say they could be contributing more to the economy if the hurdles were addressed. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
If there's false barriers erected between provinces, it doesn't make sense, does it?
Winemaker Tim Kepfer would like to expand the reach of his small winery.
There's lots of room to do better from our perspective. There's never been infrastructure to ship wine to other provinces, so that market's still young and inaccessible to a winery my size.
Billions of dollars in untapped economic benefit is being left on winery floors, according to a new report. Despite a national push to dismantle interprovincial trade barriers, many persist and are hindering the Canadian wine sector's ability to grow. Canadian wines currently make up just under 29% of domestic wine sales, contributing $10 billion annually to the GDP. But new analysis estimates that increasing the market share for made-in-Canada wine to 51% could grow the sector's GDP contribution to $13.7 billion a year. Halfway between Ottawa and Toronto, the county is home to dozens of wineries, producing award-winning sparkling, delicate reds, crisp whites, and innovative natural wines. But despite provinces' U.S. booze bans opening up shelf space, many local producers say there's still challenges gaining access.
There are so many different rules between all our regulatory systems that it is actually very difficult to market that to a consumer and to explain what is actually going on. At the end of the day, it should be, would you like to buy a bottle of wine from your local winery? Yes, here you go, and have a good time.
The industry wants a federal strategy and a reduced tax burden. Right now, according to Wine Growers Canada, mid-size wineries pay on average 14 times more in excise duty than their U.S. competitors.
That means that winery in the United States has a greater chance of investing in their business, growing their business, whereas the winery in Ontario, or any place in Canada for that matter, would face a significant impact.
The federal government says it's done its part.
We think the provinces need to do more. We've talked to the provinces about moving faster.
Wineries across the country sustain more than 99,000 jobs. Minister LeBlanc said today he agrees it's in the national interest to let the wine from these vines flow more freely. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Prince Edward County.
Looking for the perfect date night spot in Toronto? Well, we found an intimate restaurant that pairs romantic, cozy vibes with thoughtful cuisine that creates the kind of atmosphere where every meal feels special. Oh, our lift is here. Catch a ride to romance in this sleek, streetcar-inspired spot, perfect for snuggling close. Let's head inside to see what's on the menu. Warm wood panels, glowing lights, and side-by-side tables set the mood, while elevated menu classics and a craft cocktail menu make the night unforgettable. So Adrian, I'm loving the vibe, I'm loving the music, I'm loving the feel, the look of everything here. Now, you're really well known for 416 Snack Bar, which isn't all that far away. It's literally around the corner. Tell me about the different vibes between the two places.
For sure. I mean, 416 is a little more raucous. It's a little bit more sort of late night focused. We have a lot of industry clientele there, and the kitchen goes until 2 a.m. over there every day. It's a little bit more, you know, we like to say a little bit that like 416 is for our 20s and short term is for our 30s.
Raucous versus romance, right?
Exactly.
I like that. But I'm excited to see what's on the menu.
Oh,
so
yeah.
we got Dave. Come on in here with this.
Shrimp for you guys. A Taiwanese popcorn shrimp put together by Chef Kevin Lowe back over there. It's crunchy, it's spicy, it's got the fried curry leaves on top, and please, I want you to give that a try.
You got to judge me on my use of the, oh wow.
Oh yeah, not his first rodeo. So a little bit of sweet spice, but then also a good little kick to it. Meant to be sort of something for everybody.
Very savory. Oh,
Yeah.
I really, really like that.
Yeah, excellent.
That's really good. Wow, I could eat that whole thing. You've recently got some real notoriety for this burger. Tell me about it.
So it was recently voted #2 in Toronto Life's Best New Burgers for the city.
Hey, here we go.
There you go. Watch the drips. Is that a slamming burger?
Wow. Wow.
To finish off our sexy day.
Yes, look at this.
This is our large pancake. And, you know, I like to think of it as breakfast dessert, but really a large pancake for dessert can be dessert at any time of day. This is...
For one.
For one, yeah.
I got a big mouth, Adrian.
Perfect.
Uh-oh. You know what I have to say?
Yeah.
Short-Turn and I are going on a second date.
All
that's
right,
for sure.
all right.
It begins right now. With its inviting glow and heartfelt dishes, this spot turns any evening into a memorable date night. It is a Toronto gem you won't want to miss. Full details at cp24.com. Cheers.
And finally tonight, the return of a U.S. coffee shop giant that hopes to take more than a Timbit-sized piece of the Canadian market.
CTV's Adrian Gobriel checks out the comeback and whether Canadians will pitch their double-double to Dunk a Donut.
An iconic American brand has its sights set on taking a bite out of Canada's lucrative market for everything donuts and coffee.
The response we're getting today, I think we're going to probably be able to open one Dunkin' every week.
That's about 52 Dunkin' Donuts popping up across Canada per year beginning in 2027. Canadian food restaurant operator Foodtastic, that also runs other popular chains across the country, says it signed a master franchising agreement with Dunkin's American owner, Inspire Brands, to bring hundreds of locations north of the border. The last Dunkin' in Canada previously closed up shop in 2018 after Quebec franchisees successfully sued the company for not sufficiently promoting the brand.
They're going to slowly sort of nurture the brand in Canada and try to find a unique sort of flavor, unique menu for Canadians.
Just how that will land on the palate of coffee-craving Canadians has sparked heated donut shop debate.
Well, when I'm in the States, I enjoy the Dunkin' Donuts.
Dirty secret.
Yeah, but I mean, I can't say no to Tim's.
Whatever tastes better, you're in.
Yes.
We would definitely try out the donuts.
Foodtastic, who now holds Dunkin's rights in Canada, is Canadian, and they're pouring cold water over any anti-American impulses.
We're based in Montreal and Toronto. We pay taxes here. The franchisees are all going to be Canadians.
It'll be interesting to see if Canadians pick up on Dunkin' and what happens to Tim's results as a result of this move.
CTV News reached out to Tim Hortons' parent company, asking if they plan to poke a hole in Dunkin' Donuts' lofty cross-country plans. They've yet to respond to our email.
Foodtastic's CEO tells us the company plans to spend the first 24 months opening up Dunkin' Donut locations in the Greater Toronto Area, as well as in Montreal, before setting their sights on the rest of the country. Adrian Gobriel, CTV News, Toronto.
You know, I feel like they've got their work cut out for them because people's coffee buying habits are really baked in.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's hard to break those habits.
And you may need an extra coffee no matter where it's from tomorrow morning. If thunderstorms wake you up in the middle of the night, that could happen. Here's one more look at the satellite and radar. We've got some rain pushing in to Toronto and the GTA, so just be mindful of this. But we are going to see the wet weather taper off in the morning. Risk of thunderstorms will be less in the afternoon. There's the next 3 days, and we'll take one more look at that 7-day forecast with a warm and bright-looking long weekend. Pauline and Sean.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. And be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zoraida Allman with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us at CTV News, thank you for watching and have a good night.
Night.